My name is Aria, and for 5 years, my parents treated me like a ghost at my own dinner table. While they threw gala parties for my brother Caleb's failed real estate ventures, they told me my passion for coding was a waste of a good education. They officially disowned me when I refused to marry their business partner's son, leaving me with $0 and a broken laptop. Tonight is my father's 60th birthday, and they invited me only to serve as a waitress because their catering staff quit. They think I'm here because I'm desperate for a paycheck. What they don't know is that the company that just bought out my father's bankrupt firm this morning, the company that now owns this very house, is mine. I didn't just survive without them, I built an empire they can't even afford to look at, and the bill is officially due. The Sterling family name used to mean something in the city of Oak Ridge. My father, Richard, ran a legacy logistics firm, and my mother, Eleanor, was the queen of the local social scene. Then there was Caleb, the golden son. Caleb could burn through $1 million on a luxury car rental app that never launched, and my father would just hand him another check with a smile. Business is for men, Aria, my father told me when I was 19, looking up from his newspaper. I had just shown him the prototype for an AI-driven logistics tracker I'd built in my dorm room. Go finish your degree in art history. Find a nice husband. That's your path. I didn't listen. I worked 3 jobs, slept 4 hours a night, and poured every cent into Aegis Systems. When I turned 21, the ultimatum came. My father wanted me to marry Marcus, the arrogant son of a rival CEO, to merge the families. "I'm not a bargaining chip, Dad," I had said, standing in his mahogany-lined office. "Then you aren't a Sterling," he barked. "Leave. No trust fund, no car, no contact. Let's see how your hobby feeds you when you're on the street." I walked out with nothing but my backpack. For 3 years, I lived in a 400-square-foot studio apartment that smelled like damp cardboard. I ate ramen, coded until my eyes bled, and slowly, Aegis Systems began to grow. I didn't just build a tracker. I built a cybersecurity shield that became the gold standard for global shipping. I never reached out, and they never checked on me. Occasionally, I'd see their faces on social media, Caleb at a yacht party, my mother at a jewelry auction. They looked wealthy, but my data told a different story. My father's company was hemorrhaging money. He was old school, refusing to adapt to the digital age. He was taking massive private loans to keep up the appearance of wealth. I watched from the shadows as he took a $50 million loan from a private equity firm called Apex Capital. What Richard Sterling didn't know was that Apex Capital was a shell company owned by Aegis Systems. I wasn't just his daughter anymore, I was his biggest creditor. The invitation to his 60th birthday arrived by accident. His personal assistant, a girl I used to go to school with, called me in a panic. "Aria, I know your family is complicated, but your dad's catering team walked out because he hasn't paid the last 3 invoices. He's desperate. He told me to find cheap labor to help with the service tonight. If you need the money, I can get you in." I looked at the $120 million acquisition offer sitting on my desk for a new patent I'd just filed. I looked at the sleek, black credit card in my wallet that had no limit. "I'll do it," I said, a cold smile spreading across my face. "I'll do it for free." I traded my designer suit for a plain white button-down and black slacks. I tied my hair back and put on glasses. I wanted to be invisible. I wanted to hear what they said when they thought I was just the help. When I arrived at the mansion, the house I grew up in, it felt smaller. Or maybe I was just bigger now. I was in the kitchen prepping appetizers when Caleb walked in, looking disheveled in a tuxedo that cost $5,000 he didn't have. He didn't even recognize me at first. "Hey, waitress," he snapped at me, snapping his fingers at me. "Get the vintage champagne from the cellar, not the cheap stuff. Dad's trying to impress the investors from Aegis Systems. They might be coming tonight." I felt a surge of adrenaline. "Aegis Systems is coming here?" I asked, keeping my head down. "Yeah, some mystery CEO. They bought out our debt this morning. Dad thinks they're going to partner with us. If this deal goes through, I get my new Porsche, so don't screw it up." He walked out, leaving a trail of expensive cologne. I looked at my phone. I had a message from my chief operating officer. "Aria, the paperwork is signed. You are now the 100% owner of Sterling Logistics. The family has 24 hours to vacate the property unless the new owner grants an extension. See you at the party." I picked up a tray of champagne. The game was about to begin. The ballroom was packed with the elite of Oak Ridge. My mother was draped in emeralds, laughing with women who whispered behind her back about her husband's failing credit. My father stood on the stage, clearing his throat to make a speech. "Friends, family," Richard began, his voice booming with fake confidence. "Today is a milestone, not just for my age, but for the future of Sterling Logistics. We are finalizing a merger with the tech giant Aegis Systems. We are moving into the future." The crowd cheered. I moved through the guests, handing out flutes of champagne. "Aria," my mother's voice hissed. I stopped. She had spotted me. She pulled me into a corner, her face contorted in embarrassment. "What are you doing here in that uniform? Are you trying to humiliate us?" "I'm working, Mother," I said calmly. "You told me I needed to learn the value of $1, remember?" "Not here, not tonight," she whispered harshly. "Marcus is here with his new fiancé. If they see you serving drinks like a peasant, our reputation is finished. Go to the kitchen and stay there." "I can't do that," I said, taking a sip of water. "I have a meeting with the CEO of Aegis Systems." "Don't lie to me," she snapped. "You're a failure, Aria. You always were. Now get out of my sight before your father sees you." I walked back towards the stage. My father was just finishing his speech. "And now," Richard announced, "I'd like to introduce the representative from Aegis Systems who has traveled here to finalize our partnership. Please welcome—" Well, they haven't given me a name yet, but I'm told they are here. The room went silent. Everyone looked at the door. No one entered. I set my tray down near a by table. I took off my glasses. I unbuttoned the stiff waiter's vest and let it drop to the floor, revealing a silk blouse underneath. I walked slowly up the stairs to the stage. "Aria, get down from there," Caleb shouted from the front row. "Security, remove her." The security guards moved forward, but a man in a dark suit, my security head, stepped in front of them and held up a badge. They stopped instantly. I reached the microphone. My father was staring at me, his mouth open like a fish gasping for air. "You're right about one thing, Dad," I said, my voice echoing through the high-end speakers. "Sterling Logistics is moving into the future, but there is no merger." "Aria, what is the meaning of this?" Richard stammered. I pulled a legal folder from the podium. "This morning, Aegis Systems executed a debt for equity swap. Because you defaulted on your $50 million loan to Apex Capital, my subsidiary, I have seized 100% of your shares. You don't own this company anymore, Richard. And according to the foreclosure notice I signed an hour ago, you don't own this house either." The silence in the room was so thick you could hear the ice melting in the glasses. "You're lying," Caleb yelled, his face turning a deep shade of purple. "You're a college dropout. You're nothing." I looked at Caleb. "I'm the woman who just canceled your company credit card, Caleb. Check your phone. I think you'll find your Uber home has been declined." Caleb frantically pulled out his phone. His face went white. My mother stepped toward the stage, her voice trembling. "Aria, honey, this is a joke, right? We're family." "Family?" I asked, looking down at her. "Family is the group of people who disowned me for not being a submissive bride. Family is the group that let me starve while they bought yachts. Tonight, I'm not family. Tonight, I'm your boss." I turned back to my father. "The movers will be here at 8 a.m. tomorrow. I suggest you start packing the emeralds, Mom. Although, strictly speaking, those were purchased with company funds, so they actually belong to Aegis now." Richard looked like he was having a heart attack. "Why? Why do this to your own father?" "Because," I said, leaning into the mic for one last word, "you told me business was for men. I just wanted to show you that you were wrong." I walked off the stage, the crowd parting like the Red Sea. I didn't look back. The morning after the gala, the Sterling mansion didn't smell like expensive lilies anymore. It smelled like panic. I arrived at 8 a.m. sharp, not in a waitress uniform, but in a charcoal gray tailored suit that cost more than Caleb's monthly car payment. Behind me stood a team of forensic accountants and 2 private security officers. My father, Richard, was sitting at the massive oak dining table, his face aged 10 years overnight. My mother, Eleanor, was frantically stuffing silver spoons into a velvet bag. "Put the silver back, Eleanor," I said, my voice echoing in the marble foyer. "Every item in this house was inventoried by Aegis Systems last night. If one spoon is missing, I'll file a police report for grand larceny before noon." Eleanor froze, her hand trembling. "Aria, please, we have nowhere to go. You can't throw your parents onto the street." "You didn't mind when I was sleeping on a floor that smelled like wet dogs, did you?" I countered. "You told me the street would build character. Consider this a character-building exercise." Caleb stormed into the room, waving a stack of papers. He had a smug look on his face that I knew all too well. It was the look he wore right before he did something incredibly stupid. "Not so fast, CEO," Caleb sneered. "I called our family lawyer, Mr. Henderson. He says the debt for equity swap is invalid because of a force majeure clause in the original contract. We're filing an injunction. You're blocked, Aria. We aren't leaving, and we're suing you for emotional distress and corporate sabotage." I didn't blink. I pulled out my tablet and tapped a few keys. "Ah, Mr. Henderson, the lawyer who has been overcharging Dad for 20 years to cover up your failed real estate frauds. I fired his firm at 6 a.m. this morning. I now retain the 3 largest legal firms in the country. But let's talk about that force majeure clause, Caleb." I turned the tablet screen toward him. That clause only applies to natural disasters. It doesn't apply to a CEO who spends $4 million of company money on a development project that turned out to be a private villa in Ibiza for his girlfriend. That's called embezzlement, Caleb. I have the bank trails. If you file that injunction, those documents go straight to the district attorney. Caleb's smugness evaporated. He turned a sickly shade of gray. "You wouldn't," Richard whispered. "You wouldn't send your own brother to prison." "I don't have a brother," I said coldly. "I have a former employee who stole from my company." "Richard, you have 2 choices. You sign the voluntary surrender of all remaining assets, and I agree not to prosecute Caleb. Or you fight me in court, lose everything anyway, and watch your golden son wear a jumpsuit that matches his ego." Richard looked at Caleb. Then he looked at the pen in my hand. With a shaking hand, he signed the papers. The sterling legacy ended with a scratch of ink on a piece of paper. "Now," I said, "get out. You have 1 hour to take your clothes and personal items. Everything else belongs to the creditors." As they packed, I sat in my father's old chair, the chair he told me I'd never be worthy of sitting in. I felt a strange lack of guilt. I wasn't being cruel, I was being an accountant. I was balancing the books of my life. But Caleb wasn't done. He thought he was a hacker because he knew how to use a VPN. While I was busy with the movers, he sneaked into the house's server room. He thought if he crashed Aegis Systems' main hub, I'd lose my leverage. My phone buzzed. I walked down to the basement. I found Caleb frantically typing on a terminal, sweat dripping from his chin. "What are you doing, Caleb?" I asked, leaning against the doorframe. "I'm deleting you," he yelled, his eyes wild. "I'm wiping your servers. If I can't have the money, nobody can." I started laughing. It wasn't a mean laugh, it was a genuine laugh of pity. "Caleb, you're trying to hack a Tier 4 encrypted AI shield using a guest login from 2019. Do you know what my system does to unauthorized intrusion attempts?" Suddenly, every screen in the room turned bright red. A mechanical voice echoed. "Countermeasure initiated. Tracing MAC address. Uploading browser history to public cloud." Caleb froze. "Wait, what? Browser history? No. Aegis doesn't just block hackers, Caleb. It exposes them. Right now, the system is compiling every illegal site you visited, every fake shell company you've registered, and every message you sent to Dad's board of directors lying about the company's profits. And it's sending it to the SEC in real time. Stop it, please." Caleb fell to his knees, clawing at the keyboard. "I'll do anything. Just don't let that get out." I reached over his shoulder and pressed the escape key. The red screens went black. The upload is paused, for now, but from this second on, you are a ghost. You will move into a small apartment I've rented for you in the industrial district. You will work a 9-to-5 job at a warehouse I own. You will pay back every cent you embezzled. If you ever, and I mean ever, try to use the Sterling name to get a loan or a favor, I hit enter, and you spend the next decade in a cell. Caleb was sobbing. He looked small. For the first time, he looked like the failure he always accused me of being. I walked back upstairs. My parents were standing at the front door with 4 suitcases. The prestige was gone. The emeralds were on the counter. The luxury gurus were just 2 people with nowhere to go. "Aria," my mother said, her voice small, "where are we supposed to go?"
I've arranged a modest townhouse for you near the library. It's clean, it's safe, and it's exactly what you can afford on the small pension I've allowed you to keep. You wanted me to find a nice husband to take care of me, Eleanor. Instead, I became the woman who has to take care of you. I watched them walk down the driveway. No limousines, no red carpet, just a taxi I had called for them. I went back inside and looked at the empty mansion. It was quiet. No more fake laughter, no more belittling comments. I opened my laptop and looked at the global map of Aegis systems. The lights were blinking across every continent. I started with a broken laptop in a damp studio. Now, I owned the map. 1 year later, Aegis Systems went public. My net worth hit $4.2 billion. I didn't buy a yacht. I bought the old library in Oak Ridge and turned it into a free coding school for girls who were told that business is for men. I occasionally see my father at the park. He looks at me, but he doesn't approach me. He knows the rules. I'm not his daughter anymore. I'm the woman who saved him from himself, and that's a debt he can never repay. I'm Aria Sterling. I don't build cards of houses. I build systems that last.